Welcome to this edition of the Forum. I'm your host, Sheila Evans. Today we have a special show for you as we take an in-depth look at the district's planned career and technical high school. Each guest offers a unique view as we discuss what the new high school will mean for the children in our county. Our first guest will be New Hanover County Board of Education member Lisa Estep. She offers the school system's perspective and how a CTE high school will serve the students' needs. Then, Stephanie Craybill, an advocate for the CTE High School, will share a parent's perspective. She will also tell us how other parents can get involved. And finally, Jim Busby, a local business owner, joins us. He takes a look at the CTE High School from a community perspective and how it can support our local workforce. It's another great edition of the Forum, so stick around. We'll get right back with you after this short break.
What state am I?
I'm known as the Treasure State. Custer's last stand happened in my state. Nearly 48,000 Native Americans live in reservations in my state. Do you know who I am? If you've guessed Montana, you're right. I received statehood in 1889.
This United States factoid has been brought to you by New Hanover County Schools on the Learning Network of the Cape Fear.
Have you heard of the Teen Court program? Teen Court is an alternative system of justice where first-time teen offenders are tried by their peers for misdemeanor offenses. Student volunteers from local high schools assume the roles of the court staff, empowering them to take responsibility for problems of crime and violence in their schools and community. If you know someone who may benefit from Teen Court or would like to become involved, contact the Community Mediation Center on the web or by calling 362-8000.
I am joined by Lisa Estep. She's one of our Board of Education members here in New Hanover County Schools. And today we're here to talk about the Career and Technical High School. Tell us what it's about and what it looks, from your standpoint as a school board member, what it looks like.
Well, I mean, ultimately to me it looks like another opportunity for our students, really. That's why we jumped into this. And what we're hoping to create is a school that allows you to graduate with a high school diploma and with an associate's degree from the community college and with several stackable credentials. So you can walk out with several pathways open to you. You could be work ready, you could go on to more credentialing at the community college, or you can go on to a 4-year university pathway if you so choose.
Right. Why create this kind of school?
For exactly what I just said.
Well, you said for an opportunity.
Yeah, it's been something that's been near and dear to my heart because I think it's a kind of a missing component in this county. I think it's been needed for a very long time. You've heard about I've heard from industry from being in this job and even before being on the Board of Ed. Just hearing from industry how hard it's been to fill some positions, more technical positions. So it's been something I think that has been long needed from an industry perspective, but I think it's also been needed from a student perspective as well.
Very good. What challenges have you faced in the creation process?
I think mainly bringing all of the players together. Yeah, I think everyone has their own idea of what the school should look like, and so it's basically merging all those voices and getting onto the table. What are your non-negotiables? What are the non-negotiables, and how can we make those all coexist? And so that's been. I don't want to call it a challenge. I think it's been. I like to say it's like turning. Hurdles into hoops, something we can jump through rather than seeing it as a wall that you really can't jump over. Because I don't think that anything has been something that I see as a stopper. It's just something that, okay, how can we approach this,
right,
and how can we work around it, and that so far has been what it's been like. So it's been exciting. It's really been a fun process, really. I mean, now that I look back at where we were and where we are now.
Now that you're here.
Yeah, now we've come so far, and I'm really excited about the future.
How has the Board of Education supported the project?
I think at first there was a little resistance because of not knowing, again, what we were bringing to the table. We started in one place and we've completely evolved into another. So I think once the board as a whole heard what we were trying to do, they were very supportive in bringing it forward and bringing it to the students and to the parents and administration. So,
do you feel like the community will be supportive of this school?
I think so. I think, again, it's a very new concept, what we're trying to do. It's going to be a new concept for the area, the state. It's really very unique, and we've had a lot of people working very hard on it. Duke Wallen has done an amazing job building the curriculum along with a lot of our folks internally, and we've had a great partner in Cape Fear Community College in terms of working and building the curriculum, and Pender and giving us some great ideas on how to get that curriculum formed, built, and workable. So yes, I think so. I think they're going to be very supportive and very surprised at what we're going to do.
Good. You said this is a unique opportunity. Are there other technical high schools across the state?
There are. I don't think that anyone, in fact, I know there isn't anyone trying to do exactly what we are trying to do. So we will be the first to do. I think that what we're trying to do is work within the parameters of what's possible within legislation right now, but doing it exactly the way that we're doing it is going to be very unique.
In what way compared to some of the others that you saw across the state?
Well, we're going to be doing, we're doing 9 through 12, but what we're also hoping to do is reaching back into the middle school years and getting those kids interested in career and tech ed before they even hit high school, to get them thinking about it.
Right.
You know, doing some camps, doing some kind of interest workshops, so they can start thinking about what their pathway might be. I don't know of any other high school that's doing that. We will be offering sports. We would like to offer extracurricular activities. A lot of the tech high schools, career and tech high schools aren't doing that. So what we are doing and what we're trying is very ambitious, but we think it's very important to the overall kind of health and well-being of the student.
We were talking about that earlier with some of the other interviews, just that I thought that it was awesome that the extracurriculars were going to be in place. For some students, that's one of the best things they do in high school.
It really is. You know, we want to encourage participation for all students, and that's such an important part for you know, a lot of them. What they're doing after school is just as important as what they're doing in school.
Gotcha. So you keep talking about partnerships and using the word we. Who else is collaborating on this with the school system?
Well, our biggest and greatest partner has been Cape Fear Community College. I can't say enough about how wonderful Dr. Mandy Lee has been to work with. She's just been just such a dynamic character, person to have at the table, and her staff has been wonderful. Melissa Singler has been there from the get-go, working on curriculum. You know, Jim Morton's been, I think, a more recent addition to their staff, and he's been great. You know I'm not mentioning a lot of them, but they've really been a wonderful partner alongside of us through this whole journey. We're hoping that Pender County, who has also been with us as well, that they will be able to join us, and we can eventually create a regional school. That has only been done, I think, one other time in this state, and that would really also be exciting and kind of create a different look and open the school up to even more students.
Nice, very nice. Well, Lisa, thanks for taking the time to come and
Thank
give
you
us
for
your
having me.
perspective. Exciting stuff happening. We'll be back in a few minutes, right after these messages.
You think you're invincible. I started out taking 1 to 2. I ended up taking 7 to 10. Nothing goes the way that people expect it to go. You don't remember things you're doing. Your body hurts. I would wake up sometimes, like shaking. You're just worn down. It's physically painful. Once I hit my absolute bottom, I just wanted to die. I see a lot of people now that aren't in the hole as deep as I am, but they're making choices that could take them there one day.
The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw?
I am joined by Stephanie Craybill, and she is one of the advocates for the new CTE High School. Stephanie, I know that you don't have children in the school system anymore, but tell me what makes you want to get involved in this kind of program.
Well, Sheila, I wanted to get involved because I have wanted a high school or this kind of program for a long, long time, since my kids were in school.
Sure.
There are so many parents want their kids to go to college, go to the four-year college because they did, and that's the only way.
Right.
Or because they did not, and they want their kids to have better. But there are some kids that this is just not the avenue. And they'll go to college because their parents want them to, and then they don't complete, or they're miserable. Or they don't go to college because they're afraid they can't succeed, or they don't know what they want to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you have kids. I mean, how many times have our kids go, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up? There's kids in college pursuing the undecided major right now, or worse, they're pursuing a major that they really just thought, okay, that sounds kind of cool. So why not give them the opportunity in high school for free to explore some of the things that they might have an interest in, or that they've heard about, or that maybe their parents do, and they're like, I'm not doing like what my dad does, but when they get into it, it's like, wow, this is kind of cool. So that's why I think, it's so needed. There's such a stigma too about going to a technical high school or going to take technical classes when you're in high school. Kids don't want to do that because it's going to affect their GPA. Or sometimes kids are in these classes because there's no other class that will fit into their schedule. So the classes aren't really necessarily as robust as they could be. I'm not saying that across the board that they're not, but at this high school, everybody's taking those classes, taking the technical classes, taking a risk on learning something new with not having to worry about their GPA. So how awesome would that be, just to remove that stressor from kids?
Right.
Technical high schools doesn't necessarily mean only trades.
Right.
It means just exploring like the new 21st century technician jobs that are everywhere in every career. So I love this concept. It just gives so many more kids a chance to succeed and try new things.
I love the fact that you can, if you don't know what you want to do, start eliminating what you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Try some of these things and not incur a student debt at college if you're going just to make somebody else happy. So
no, I agree.
I love the
completely.
concept of giving a couple things a try, see if you like them, visit some work sites, some of those things they'd be exposed to, otherwise they never would.
Well, and then I'm glad you brought that up, because right now in some of our career technical classes in high school, they do have a chance to go to some lunch and learns, or they do have a chance to do internships. But I feel like some of those might be just not superficial, but very just, very skimming of the surface. And at the career and technical high school, that's going to be part of their day-to-day, a part of their curriculum. So they get a chance to get out there and work as teams like they're going to have to do in the real world. They're going to get a chance to get out there and just know what it's like to get up and go to a job from 8 to 5,
right?
Which kids are like, oh my God, Mom, I got to go to work for all day,
right? That's a big adjustment for my daughter after she graduated from college. She's a teacher, and that long day and such. But that was an adjustment for her. So a survey is going out to the 8th grade parents.
Yep.
Do you know much about that and what's in it?
Yes, I've been involved in helping put together those questions.
Okay.
And from a parent point of view, what would I be asking if my child was there now? It's about 10 questions. It's very comprehensive, and it's very non-threatening. It looks long, but it asks from every angle. And I think it's going to be a good tool for us to use, engage if parents want to go there. So I encourage, if you get it, fill it out. You can do it online. You can do it with paper. We're going to be trying to come around to some of the schools to talk more about that. But that survey is going to be real key for us to get an idea of how many students really want to come.
Very good. I think one of the positives I've heard is the ability to have participation in extracurricular activities. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I can, because that was one of my biggest things. Way back when the early college model was coming out, both my children looked at it, but loved the opportunity, but did not like the fact that there were no clubs and no sports. And so with this model, we are going to be able to include that. To me, extracurriculars it's where a child gets a chance to shine. That, well, first of all, at every PTA meeting or back to school thing, I tell parents, especially in high school, you've got to know what clubs are available and encourage your kid to get involved in them, because that's how they make new friends. That's how they develop one-on-one relationships with teachers. That's how they get out and do some community service, in the community. And then there's sports. Just because you want to be an HVAC technician or a CMA, a certified medical assistant, doesn't mean that you don't like to play soccer or basketball or tennis or golf.
Right.
So being able to participate in some of those sports, and we're still working out what that looks like, I think is a huge selling point.
And you talked about the PTSA. What do you think the school should have one? How do you think they can get it started?
Well, I think every school needs to have a PTSA or a parent group of some sort, whatever is comfortable for them, organizational wise, and what can be sustained. This school, I think, is pretty much very important, not pretty much very important, because students are going to be coming from such a wide variety of areas, and it's new. So parents are going to want to have somewhere to talk. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? This isn't going well. This is going great. I don't necessarily see this parent organization as being, let's meet every month on campus. I see it being more of online chat room kind of thing, or some sort of Facebook or some other social media tool that we can learn and the kids can set up for their parents, because that's one of the strands that they can pursue. Because you always want to know what somebody else is thinking, or am I overreacting to this, or wasn't that a great assignment? What can we do more to maybe find some enhancement to that program?
Right. Last question I'm going to ask you about the fact you said people are coming from all over. What about that transportation piece?
Well, it's going to be long for some students. It's going to be longer for some than others. But if you look at the way at least New Hanover County is set up, kids who live in like the Ashley School District but opt to go to New Hanover perhaps for the Lyceum program, or to Hoggard for the IB, or even to Laney, for the STEM program, they're going to be on the bus, for a long period of time. And then Pender County is huge,
Yes.
so they're going to be coming from lots of different places. But I started thinking about that. I love taking the train places, when you can or when you fly, because you can catch up on a good book that you may not have ever started to read. You can do some last minute studying. If you have your laptop, you can, be doing some homework. Or, God forbid, you talk to some of your fellow students and you strike up friendships, about just different kinds of things. So I don't necessarily see the bus ride as bad. It will be inconvenient, perhaps. It will be new. And then as they get older, they might be able to drive and carpool. But the bus is a great situation for them in this case.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for coming in and filling in some of those details. It sounds very exciting.
Great.
We'll be back in a few minutes, right after these messages.
Americans is struggling with hunger. Who's the 1 in 8 in your life? You can help today. Visit feedingamerica.org/1 in 8 to find your local food bank.
Things can get pretty ugly when you're bored. In an after-school program, you can find something way better to do.
I am joined by Jim Busby, and he's a local business owner and community leader from the perspective of the new Career Technical Education High School. Now, Jim, I know you haven't been part of the initial planning process, but How do you fit into the process at this point?
I've actually been involved in CTE in one form or another for about 9 years or so, mostly at Hoggard High School, mostly in construction-related activities, and through that I've spent a lot of time with Duke Wallen, and we have always revolved around to the question of how do we get the community more involved in this. And more recently, I was part of the strategic planning group for New Hanover County School System, and we focused a lot of our time and discussion on the CTE high school.
Okay. What do you know about the concept? What do you like about it?
Well, from a big picture overview, I think anything we can do to cultivate responsible citizens for the community, which means working citizens, is going to be to the advantage of the Wilmington area. It costs roughly $265,000 to have a high school dropout and pay for them in the form of support services and in some cases incarceration. So I think the CTE program is a front-end investment so that we can avoid having to pay for these students for the rest of their lives.
How important do you think it is for businesses to connect now in this early stages of getting the school off the ground?
Well, that's one of the challenges that we face, but it's also an opportunity. And my personal experience, having been involved in the schools for 14, 15 years, CTE for about 9 years or so, is that there's definitely a willingness on the part of the community, the businesses, the professionals in the community to support the school. And there's definitely a willingness or a desire on the part of the schools to have the community support, but to bridge that gap is not easily done.
Right.
It's just difficult to make that connection in a way that works well for the business and dovetails with the school as well.
So we talked about your perspective as a business owner. Obviously, I know you've had children at Hoggard High School. We spent a lot of time together there.
We did.
Tell me what, as a parent, what it means to you.
Well, I've seen the peers of our kids. We all read the paper, we see what's going on TV, and we've got a lot of violence and unrest, much of which stems from the fact that these kids just don't have a future that they believe in. They're unemployed, and it leads to violence. So once again, from a preventive standpoint, if we can equip them with job-ready skills, that's going to not only solve a community problem, but take care of them as individuals. The CTE program, I'm really big on the term pathway. I'm really big on the term connecting the dots, although it sounds kind of like cliches. It's a difficult maze to navigate when a kid's going through school. Even the sharpest of students and the most diligent of parents have a challenge in front of them trying to put together the course loads to get them into a traditional four-year school or to get them into a respectable job when they graduate. And I think the CTE program has done a good job of defining each step along the way. We're not just talking about high school, but we're also talking about the alliance with Cape Fear Community College. We're blessed with tremendous educational resources here. We just need to make sure that we've got the right programs in place.
What do you see as needs for the school, for the school to kind of pump out this kind of workforce?
Well, I think the components are in place.
Okay.
The individual high schools now have CTE programs. It's an incredible variety. We're talking about allied healthcare, culinary arts, construction, medical technology, and really what the CTE high school does is just focus these and make them available to kids that want to focus on that earlier in their education cycle.
Very good. Now, what about internships, mentorships, apprentice type things? Where will they play a role in the school?
Well, there's no question that there's value to that.
Okay.
And you can use different types of terminology, but to me, a site visit is probably the easiest thing to do. I remember doing that in elementary school, going to the local dairy or the local manufacturing plant. And I think, once again, we've got a lot of industrial resources, a lot of business resources, and simply making a site visit, 20 students walking through GE or Vertex or Corning just to see what the environment's like. Then job shadowing, where they go physically. I know AT&T has a job shadowing program, and they'll go into a retail store and they'll walk around behind the people that are selling the cell phone service. And you just get a feel for what the environment's about. And then the next step beyond that would be an internship or an apprenticeship where they're actually working there and actually getting paid. So what that does is it exposes the students to the routine and the discipline of going to work and interacting with people in a constructive manner, learning how to get along with people, learning how to do collaborative thinking and teamwork, learning some degree of ethics that are involved, learning the wide variety of personalities that you're inevitably going to run into in the work environment. And the neat thing about it is it gives these students a chance to, quote, test drive an industry, a specific company, a specific environment, and at the same time it gives the company a chance to test drive prospective employees.
Well, great. I'm excited about all this, and maybe I'll be bringing some students to the courthouse with me when I'm a mediator. Jim, thanks so much for stopping and sharing the information that you have, and we'll be back in a few minutes right after these messages.
May I have your attention, please? Would the owner of the spare tire, slightly hairy, with a little brown mole to the left of the belly button, it's an innie. Please report to the press box and retrieve your appendage. Oh, they must have lost this parking further away from the stadium and walking in. Yeah. Okay, we're back to the action.
So, you're looking for help with your mortgage. Worried about foreclosure?
We can help you keep your house.
All we ask for in return is that you submit to our plans for galactic domination. Sign.
If you're facing foreclosure, talk to the right people. Speak with HUD-approved housing counselors free of charge at 888-995-HOPE.
We hope you've enjoyed our program today. For more information on the Career and Technical High School, you can call 362-7882 or email ctehsinfo@nhcs.net. You can also follow them on Twitter at #NHCSCTE. Now, if you ever have any questions about the topics we discussed here on the show today, please call the school system's public relations office at 254-4180 or check out the website at www.nhcs.net. I'm Sheila Evans, and thanks for joining me today.